days, Donald Trump will make history as the first president of the United States to recite the oath of office as a convicted felon.
This court has determined that the only lawful sentence that permits entry of a judgment of conviction without encroaching upon the highest office in the land is an unconditional discharge. Therefore, at this time, I impose that sentence to cover all 34 counts. Sir, I wish you Godspeed as you assume your second term in office.
Wish all of us Godspeed. New York Judge Juan Merchan delivering Trump a long overdue sentence yesterday morning. However, if we're being honest, it's really a sentence of no sentence. With this unconditional discharge, Trump will face no jail time, no probation, no fines, nothing. Still, that slap on the wrist didn't stop Trump from throwing a tantrum, as usual, on social media, calling it a despicable charade and vowing to appeal. Joining me now for a deeper dive, Christy Greenberg, former SDNY Criminal Division Deputy Chief and former federal prosecutor. Christy, thanks for your patience. Obviously, important information we need to get out. You know, I just want to ask you one question about this and then move on. But there's still an appeal that is going to be taken by Donald Trump. And so we do recognize he is now a convicted felon about to take the oath of office on January 20th. But there's still an appellate process that needs to be played out as well, right?
There is. He has said he intends to appeal. There's a real question whether that appeal will go on while he is in office. If it does, then he's got to find different lawyers to handle it. The two lawyers that he has now are set to be the number 2 and number 3 at DOJ, and they can't wear both hats, though I'm sure it's going to be hard to maybe distinguish that once they are at DOJ if they're not just still doing Donald Trump's bidding. But at least formally, they wouldn't be able to continue his appeal. They'd have to have different lawyers if he is going to continue with that while he's in office.
An administration of people that fail up even when they lose criminal trials. Let's move on. I know that this sentence has been talked about a lot. I want to talk about the Jack Smith reports because I think that that's really important. The final report, Jack Smith Special Counsel, Volumes 1 and 2. A lot of legal filings going on in the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, which is the federal appeals court above Judge Eileen Cannon, who is in the district court in Florida. Your take, and I don't want to get into the weeds on this, Christy, in terms of the filings, but your take on the viability of the arguments raised by Donald Trump to block Jack Smith. It's not just Donald Trump, by the way, but his co-defendants, Walt Nauta and Carlos de Oliveira. But, Christy, to block the release, and let's talk about Volume 1, which is the January 6th insurrection, election interference stuff, versus Volume 2, which is the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case.
Yeah, so with respect to Volume 1, the January 6th case, these two co-defendants don't have a leg to stand on as to why they would have any standing to block the release of that report. It has nothing to do with them, nor does it have anything to do with Judge Cannon, but everybody's got the memo that if you want something done for Donald Trump, you go to Judge Cannon. So that's what they did. And she obliged. She blocked the release of both of those volumes of the report, even though she had no basis to do so, no jurisdiction to do so. So right now, those co-defendants have gone back to Judge Cannon, even though the 11th Circuit has agreed with the government that the reports could be released. They've gone back to Judge Cannon and said, well, can you hold a hearing, which we know she's more than happy to do, because remember, they only need 9 days. They just need to delay this, kick the can down the road so that Trump's DOJ can come in and then the reports don't see the light of day. As to the Florida classified documents case, that report, Merrick Garland is, made, I think, a really bad call here. He said, well, because this appeal of Cannon's dismissal of the case as to those two co-defendants is still going on, because that's pending, we're not going to publicly release the classified documents volume, and we're just going to share it with certain members of Congress privately, because releasing it publicly could potentially prejudice those two co-defendants. Well, in 9 days, that case against those two co-defendants is going away. Trump is going to have his DOJ drop that appeal. So why not just drop the case against them, drop that appeal against them now, and then you can release this report. It's silly. It's not pragmatic. That report, to me, the classified documents report, is actually the more interesting report, because Jack Smith has said that if he were to go to trial, there is unclassified evidence that he would have relied on to answer the question of why Donald Trump so desperately wanted to keep all of these classified documents and what he planned to do with them. And that, to me, is a really important thing for the American people to know, what he was looking to do with the nation's secrets as he is set to assume office for the next 4 years. And also, who is he potentially sharing information with? That seems like it's important information the public is entitled to hear, but DOJ, AG Garland has made the decision that we don't get to know that. And I think he's wrong.
Really quickly, Christy, let's just say Jack Smith / DOJ Merrick Garland drops the case, drops the appeal right now. What is the practical effect? Quickly, what's the practical effect of that injunction by Judge Cannon?
Well, right now it's still in place because it's 3 days after the 11th Circuit's order, when her injunction blocking the release of either report is still in place. So we still need to have those 3 days play out. The DOJ has gone to the 11th Circuit and said, look, you just vacate her order, But again, she's still got the 3 days in place. So we'll see if she does anything different. We'll also see if the defendants go to the Supreme Court.
Ring, ring, AG Merrick Garland, drop it. We don't need this. They're going to get pardoned anyway. Have a nice day. Christy Greenberg, as always, thank you so much. And again, thank you for your patience. I sincerely appreciate it. Thanks.